Hey everybody, I'm here with part 1 of path 3 of my Abyss unit and resource series. So for the first fight on this path, we faced Darkhawk. It took us 2 revives, and we didn't use any units, as the revives used were from our stash. Darkhawk's Abyssal ability: each time the defender is struck while under the effect of an armor up buff, they gain a charge lasting indefinitely. At 10 charges, the defender steals all of the attacker's current power. Tech champions are immune to ability accuracy modification and nullify, unless under the effect of an armor break debuff. At the start of the fight, gain an armor up buff. If it's removed, it will return after 15 seconds. The reform timer won't start while under the effect of an armor break debuff. And now we'll have a look at some gameplay of Void against Darkhawk. The main consideration to keep in mind when using Void against Darkhawk, aside from the power steal, is to ensure that you have 2 Petrify debuffs when you change Darkhawk's mode. Ideally, you'll have 2 Petrifies and a Fear of the Void. Once Darkhawk throws his L2 and the healing is reversed from the Petrifies, you can then throw a heavy to have him change his mode again, so that you can reverse his healing 2 times in a row. And now back to our regularly scheduled unit and resource overview. The next fight was Luke Cage. We used Aegon. Again, this fight took a lot of revives. It took 20. We ended up with a combo of 752. Again, we didn't need any units, as the revives used were from the stash. Luke Cage's Abyssal ability: every 20 seconds, Luke Cage gains an unstoppable buff and an unblockable buff, each lasting until he is successfully intercepted. And we'll have a look at some gameplay of Aegon versus Luke Cage. Against Luke Cage, I found it most beneficial to start off the fight holding a heavy with Aegon. Of course, sometimes that doesn't work out and you take a few hits to the face. There are 3 ways to deal with Luke Cage and his unstoppable and unblockable. 1 is to simply intercept when he comes to attack you. Another is to wait until the Fight Me Coward text comes up on screen, then hold your heavy, as Luke Cage is more likely to attack you, and you can just heavy intercept him. Thirdly is just using a heavy intercept regardless of the Fight Me Coward text. Sometimes you'll get lucky and Luke Cage will be aggressive and attacking you while you're holding your heavy, in which case you can heavy intercept him again to remove the unblockable and unstoppable. find when I'm going to use Aegon's heavy intercept, I usually prefer to have at least 100 combo before doing so. So I would build up the combo on the Darkhawk fight. You don't have to do that. You could start the Luke Cage fight with 0 combo, but I found it was more effective starting with at least 100. Now, back to our regularly scheduled unit and resource overview. The next champion we have is Old Man Logan. For Old Man Logan, we used Void, took 2 revives, and once again, no units were required. Old Man Logan's Abyssal ability. Old Man Logan's healing factor now allows him to regenerate an additional 5,000 health per second. He is also immune to heal block debuffs. This isn't a bad fight with Void. Once you get a couple petrifies up, the fight goes pretty quick. Next opponent we faced was Havok. For Havok, I used Aegon, took 8 revives, I used a couple health pots, and by the end I was at max combo. So by this fight I'd used up all my stash, and I ended up having to use 240 units to get through Havok. Havok's Abyssal ability. For each bar of power filled by the defender, they trigger a passive fury for the duration of their special attacks, increasing their attack 7.5%. Every critical hit by either champion in this fight increases the defender's combat power rate by 1% for the rest of the fight. If you're going to use Aegon for this fight, you want to make sure that you have Aegon starting at least 500 combo. Next opponent we faced was Dormammu. For Dormammu, I used Void, took 4 revives, I used 4 health pots, and it cost 177 units. Dormammu's Abyssal ability. Every 10 buffs that expire or are nullified on the attacker, place a Fate Seal debuff on them, nullifying all their buffs and preventing war for 15 seconds. Removing this Fate Seal prior to it expiring deals 100% of the defender's attack as direct damage. The next opponent was Joe Fixit. We used Aegon, took 2 revives, used 2 health pots. We had already started at the maximum combo, and it took 81 units. Joe Fixit's Abyssal ability. Every 10 seconds, either Joe Fixit will gain a random buff or the attacker will gain a random debuff. Striking Joe Fixit with a special 3 removes all buffs he's gained from his Abyssal ability above. This does not affect his normal Gambler's Ruin suits. Striking Joe Fixit with a heavy attack purifies all debuffs the attacker has gained from Joe Fixit's Abyssal ability above. This does not affect his normal Gambler's Ruin suits. Joe Fixit is immune to all Nullify and Fate Seal effects. The next boss that we faced was Mordo. I used Void, it took 4 revives, and cost 160 units. Mordo's Abyssal ability. Every 10 buffs that expire or are nullified on the attacker, place a Fate Seal debuff on them, nullifying all their buffs and preventing war for 15 seconds. Removing this Fate Seal prior to it expiring deals 100% of the defender's attack as direct damage. So this is the same Abyssal ability as Dormammu. And that does it for part 1 of Path 3 of the Abyss Unit and Resource Overview. Thanks for watching.